All right, get ready, because today we're taking a deep dive into the world of science and technology.
Sounds exciting.
It is, especially how they work together.
Yeah.
We're talking about the ultimate power couple.
Oh, interesting.
And we're taking our cues from this article called Science and Technology, the Ultimate Power Couple.
Okay.
Our mission today is to really break down how this partnership shapes our lives, what its potential is for the future, and some of the really interesting questions it raises.
I think that's a really relevant topic, especially now with all the advancements we're seeing. The article actually points out that we often see science and technology as like separate things.
Right.
But in reality, they're constantly influencing each other. They have this cyclical relationship where each one fuels the other.
I like that, a cyclical relationship.
Yeah.
So how does this dance between science and technology actually work?
So think of it this way. Science is about understanding the universe and how it all works, like the fundamental laws.
Okay.
It's asking questions, experimenting, and building models to explain things.
Yeah.
Technology then takes those discoveries and applies them to create tools and solve problems.
So it's like science is the blueprint and technology is what builds the house.
Exactly. And the amazing thing is, this process goes both ways.
Oh, interesting.
New technologies often lead to brand new scientific discoveries, which then spark the development of even more advanced technologies.
Wow. So it's a constant loop of discovery and innovation.
Exactly.
Do you have an example from the article that shows how this works in real life?
Well, let's look at fire. Our ancestors, they discovered fire, and by observing it, they figured out how to control it.
Right.
And that understanding of combustion, which is a scientific principle, led to the invention of engines.
Oh, yeah.
And engines completely changed our world from transportation to industry.
That's a perfect example. So it's not just about fancy gadgets. This partnership goes way back.
Absolutely. And it's constantly evolving. The article talks about DNA and CRISPR. Now, that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah, CRISPR is fascinating. Can you remind me how it connects to this whole science and technology dance?
Well, mapping the structure of DNA in 1953, that was a huge scientific breakthrough, like cracking the code of life.
Yeah.
But at that point, it was just information, just knowledge.
Right.
But then technology steps in a few decades later and gives us CRISPR, which uses that DNA knowledge to edit genes.
So CRISPR is a tool made possible by understanding DNA.
Exactly.
And it has the potential to be really transformative.
Exactly. Think about it, curing genetic diseases, growing organs, even making crops that can survive climate change.
Wow.
Those are real possibilities, all because we understood DNA. It's a perfect example of how science lays the foundation and technology builds on it. And this is just one example.
Are there other examples in the article where technology took a scientific idea and made it a reality?
Well, consider the telescope and the microscope. They might seem simple, but they completely changed how we understand the universe.
I see what you mean.
Telescopes showed us just how vast space is and that our planet is just a tiny speck.
Right.
And microscopes revealed the world of tiny organisms, a whole universe too small to see with our eyes.
It's amazing how those tools, born from scientific inquiry, completely shifted our perspective.
Exactly. And those shifts lead to new questions and more exploration. It's a beautiful cycle.
The article also mentions Newton and space exploration. How does that fit into this story?
So Newton's laws of motion are scientific theories, right?
Yeah, right.
They describe how things move, but for a long time they were just theories on paper.
I see.
Then technology comes along and says, hold my beer. Rockets are a direct application of those theories. They use the principles of motion and gravity to escape Earth and explore space.
So rockets brought Newton's abstract ideas to life, making space travel possible.
Exactly. It shows the power of this partnership. But as with great power
comes great responsibility.
Exactly. The article makes a point of saying that these advancements can have unintended consequences.
Right. There's always a flip side.
Yeah, it's like a double-edged sword. Look at electricity.
Right.
It brought light and power, revolutionizing how we live.
Absolutely.
But that same understanding of electricity led to nuclear weapons.
Right.
And the internet connects people globally, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But it also makes it easy for misinformation to spread.
Okay, so every step forward has a potential shadow side. So how do we handle that? How do we deal with the ethical side of all these advancements?
That's the big question. And the article dives into this using artificial intelligence as an example.
AI is everywhere these days. It's writing poems, diagnosing diseases, even driving cars. It's mind-blowing, but also a little scary.
Exactly. And that's where things get ethically tricky.
How so?
Some AI systems work in ways we don't fully understand. It's called the black box problem.
So we have these powerful systems making decisions, but we don't always know how they're reaching those conclusions.
Exactly. It raises concerns about transparency, accountability, and bias.
That makes sense. So it's not just about if we can do something, but if we should, and how to do it fairly and ethically.
Absolutely. That's a conversation that needs to happen alongside these advancements. We can't assume progress is always good.
That's a really good point.
We need to be responsible with these powerful tools.
Well said. This relationship between science and technology is definitely complex. It's full of potential, but also potential risks. And we have to navigate it carefully.
Definitely.
Now, the article also touches on space exploration. I'm curious about what it says about how that field can push the boundaries of science and technology.
Absolutely. And that's where we'll pick up after a quick break. We'll delve into the James Webb Space Telescope, what it's revealing about the universe, and how those discoveries might inspire new technologies that could get us closer to the dream of interstellar travel. You know, it really makes you think, what is it that drives us to explore what we don't know? I mean, why are we constantly pushing the limits of our knowledge and what we can do?
It's a good question. What is it about us humans that makes us want to go beyond what we can see, to look for new knowledge and explore new places?
The article talks about curiosity, like it's just part of who we are. Think about our ancestors looking up at the stars and wondering, what are those bright lights?
Right.
That's just human nature, wanting to understand the world and figure out all its mysteries.
So it's more than just solving problems. It's about wanting to learn and understand new things.
Exactly. And that curiosity is what's behind so many scientific discoveries. But it's also true that technology often comes from needing to find solutions, overcoming challenges to make life better or easier.
Yeah, I see what you mean. A lot of big inventions were driven by the need to fix something.
The article has some good examples, like the wheel, the printing press, the steam engine. These weren't just random inventions. They came about because people needed to solve problems. The wheel changed transportation. The printing press revolutionized communication. And the steam engine fueled the Industrial Revolution. Each one addressed a need and opened up a whole bunch of new possibilities for us.
And as we solve those problems, as technology keeps developing, it seems like we just keep opening up new paths for exploration and making new discoveries.
It's like a cycle: curiosity, problem solving, innovation, and then back around again. And it's taken us from simple tools to the incredibly complex technology we have today. But as we talked about before, all this progress comes with responsibility.
Definitely.
We can't just focus on advancing without thinking about what could go wrong, even if it's unintentional.
Absolutely. That's where things get tricky. How do we even decide what's ethical when it comes to science and technology?
Right.
What should guide our choices and what we do?
That's the million-dollar question, and the article makes it clear that there are no easy answers. Figuring out what's ethical isn't always black and white.
Yeah, it's complicated.
It often means weighing different values, societal norms, and consequences that are hard to predict.
So how do we even begin to deal with these ethical challenges? How do we ensure that science and technology are used for good, to benefit both people and the planet?
The article argues that we have to be proactive. We have to be the ones setting the ethical course for how these powerful tools are developed and used, not just reacting to the consequences later.
I see. So we need to be talking openly and honestly about the potential impact of new technologies, both the good and the bad, and make sure we're considering the ethical side of things from the beginning.
Precisely. We need lots of different perspectives: scientists, ethicists, policymakers, the public, to make sure we're looking at things from all angles.
And it sounds like having clear ethical guidelines and regulations is really important. It can't just be a free-for-all.
Absolutely. We need frameworks in place to help us make informed decisions, anticipate problems, and make sure these powerful tools are used responsibly. The article brings up an interesting concept to illustrate this value alignment.
Value alignment. What's that?
It's something that's often talked about with artificial intelligence. It's this idea that as AI gets more and more complex, we need to make sure it lines up with human values.
So we need to make sure that the goals of AI match our own goals as a society, right? That it's not just going after things that could hurt people or go against our values.
Exactly. It's about making AI that helps humanity flourish, respects human rights, and contributes to a better society overall. Like, let's say we're developing an AI to control traffic in a city.
Yeah.
We need to make sure it prioritizes safety and efficiency, but also things like making sure different types of transportation can get around easily and minimizing pollution.
That makes sense. But how do we program human values into machines? Sounds really difficult.
It is complex. It takes computer scientists, ethicists, social scientists, and philosophers all working together. We need to understand human values deeply and figure out how to translate them into algorithms and decision-making processes.
So it's not just about being good at coding. It's about having a deep understanding of ethics and how society works.
Precisely. And it's a constant process. We need to keep an eye on AI and evaluate it, make sure it's behaving ethically and doing the right thing, and be ready to adjust course if needed. This is new territory, and we have to accept that we might make mistakes along the way.
This is all really interesting, but also a little overwhelming, to be honest. It's easy to get caught up in the risks and all the what-ifs.
I get that. It's important to remember that science and technology, at their core, are just tools. They can be used for good or for bad, and it's up to us as humans to guide them responsibly.
Right. We have a responsibility to think critically, ask tough questions, and talk openly about what could happen, both good and bad. We can't just assume progress is always a good thing.
You got it. And that brings up another point the article makes about the balance between skepticism and optimism.
Skepticism and optimism. Aren't those opposites? How do they fit in here?
Well, skepticism is key to good science. It's about questioning what we think we know, looking closely at the evidence, and being cautious about unintended consequences. It's what keeps us from blindly accepting things or jumping into new technologies without thinking them through.
So it's about not just taking things at face value, but really digging in and asking questions.
Exactly. But we also need some optimism. We need to believe in the possibility of progress, that we can create a better future with science and technology. If we lose that hope, it's easy to become cynical and get stuck.
It's about holding on to that sense of possibility, believing that we can use our creativity and ingenuity to solve problems.
Exactly. And it's this balance between skepticism and optimism that lets us move forward cautiously but steadily, using the power of science and technology while being aware of the potential risks.
It's like walking a tightrope, staying aware of the dangers, but still believing in the potential for good.
Well said. That's going to be key as we move forward with all these new scientific and technological developments in the coming years.
This conversation has really shown me how complex this relationship is. It's not just about discoveries and inventions. It's about human values, ethics, and the impact on society.
You're absolutely right. It's this whole mix of science, technology, and the human factor that makes this topic so interesting and so important to talk about.
Well said. This has been such an insightful conversation. I know the article also explores some of the most exciting things on the horizon: space exploration, biotechnology, nanotechnology. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on those.
Let's jump right in. It seems like we're constantly hearing about some crazy scientific breakthrough or new invention, right?
It's true. It's an exciting time.
This article really captures that feeling, especially when it comes to space exploration. We talked about the James Webb Space Telescope before the break.
Right.
I'm curious to hear more about what it could mean for us.
It's already showing us amazing things about the early universe. Things we never knew before. And it's making us ask new questions, which could lead to even bigger discoveries. So it's not just about the pictures. It's about what those pictures teach us and the new paths they open up for exploration.
Exactly. The article even talks about technologies that might one day make interstellar travel possible.
Wow.
Imagine actually going to those distant worlds that we can only see through telescopes right now.
It sounds like something out of science fiction.
It does, but who knows? Technology is advancing so fast.
The article even mentions things like warp drives and wormholes.
Right. Things we used to think were just fantasy.
Exactly.
But that's what this partnership between science and technology is all about.
Yeah.
Pushing the boundaries, challenging what we think is impossible, and space exploration is a great example of that.
It really is.
It forces us to think big, imagine beyond our limits, and create new technologies to make those dreams a reality.
I love that. It's so inspiring to think about what we could achieve if we just set our minds to it.
Right.
But it's not just about space, right? This article also talks about advancements in biotechnology and nanotechnology.
Oh, absolutely. Those fields are just exploding with possibilities.
It's incredible.
Imagine tiny nanobots that could fix damaged cells, deliver drugs with incredible accuracy, even reverse aging.
It's mind-blowing. But like we've been talking about, with such powerful technology comes risks and ethical considerations.
Definitely. And the article really emphasizes that the need to balance the amazing things these technologies can do with a deep understanding of what could go wrong, both ethically and practically.
It's about moving forward with caution and making sure we're being smart about how we use these tools.
You said it. It's not about stopping progress. It's about being wise and thinking about consequences. It's about using these incredible tools to make a better future for everyone.
I agree. This article doesn't shy away from the tough questions. It acknowledges that some of these technologies could have a huge impact on us. It could change what it means to be human.
It's true. It's a lot to think about.
It makes you realize that we're not just watching this all happen. We have a say in how these technologies are developed, how they're used. It's our responsibility to create the future we want.
Exactly. We have the power to make sure these advancements are used to benefit everyone and the planet as a whole. And that's why everything we talked about earlier is so important. The ethical guidelines, making sure our values are aligned with the technology, and really thinking through the impact these things will have on society.
It's about finding that balance, encouraging progress, while making sure it's guided by ethics and a sense of responsibility.
It's a challenge, no doubt, but I believe we can do it if we approach these challenges with open minds, think critically, and are willing to work together, bringing in people from different backgrounds and perspectives.
It's clear that science and technology have shaped the world we live in and will continue to do so. It's a story that goes back thousands of years, from the first simple tools to the amazing things we're creating today. It's a story about human curiosity, our ingenuity, and our desire to learn and understand.
And the story's not over yet. Every new discovery, every new invention adds another chapter. It's pretty amazing to be alive right now and see all this happening.
This deep dive has given me a new appreciation for how powerful this relationship between science and technology is, and how important it is that we use it wisely. It's a good reminder that science and technology aren't just ideas. They have a real impact on our lives.
They do, and it's up to us to make sure that impact is positive. As we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a question to think about.
Okay.
What scientific or technological breakthrough do you think would change humanity the most?
Ooh, that's a big one.
It is. And what ethical things would we need to consider to make sure it's used for good?
That's something worth pondering. The future of science and technology isn't set in stone. It's a future that we're creating through the choices we make, the actions we take, and our commitment to using these powerful forces for good. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep pushing the limits of what's possible.